Now, one more little detail before we save out this iteration and start a new one. I like for the buttons to be a different color, but the fact kind of bugs me that I have all of these bodies now. There are way too many solid bodies here, and it's kind of unmanageable. So what I like to do is go, say, to the top plane and create a quick sketch. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. Just throw something out here that overlaps all of these guys, and then do a features extruded boss. And I'm going to extrude that up by some minuscule amount, like 0.5 millimeters, for example. And when I do that, I'm going to go down, make sure that merge result is checked, but under feature scope, let's uncheck auto select, and then select the bodies we want to merge it with. We don't want to merge it with this bottom body. We just want to merge it with these buttons. So I'm going to click each one of those and hit OK. And it's going to merge all those together into one body. So if you look at our solid bodies now, we only have 4. We have the battery door we created. We have the bottom housing. We have the bottom of the top housing. And we have the buttons. And those just got merged because we created that extrude feature that kind of merged them all together. So we could actually grab, say, this red color, drop that on just that body, and now we can really easily see exactly how this thing is broken up. And I can hide the lines for that. We can definitely see how this is going. And you can imagine these are all solid now, so we could actually save this out and 3D print it or whatever. This is a fully designed iteration ready to go. So let's close this, save it, and go back here to my main assembly. And right now, there's nothing in here. It's not actually in my assembly. If you'll recall, we just created a new part, but we didn't add it to our top-level assembly. So let's go back to our folder and find that iteration 1 that we just created and drag it and drop it into our scene. And that's going to be out here in space by default. So let's go to our paperclip, our mate icon, and we're going to mate the origin of our new part with the origin of our assembly. Hit OK and OK. And now we have one iteration of our design in our assembly. Now to make more iterations, what we'll do is open that back up, File, Save As, and then this is the important thing. If I say Save as New Name, then what it's going to do is rename this file when I save it and replace the old one with the new one in the open assembly. It's not what I want. I want to save as a copy. That way, the new file that I'm creating won't be in the new assembly. So let's save as a copy. We'll call this Iteration02. Hit Save. Close this up. And actually, we can hide this component for a moment in our assembly so it's out of our way. Go back. We'll add. We now have Iteration 2 solid part in here. We can drop that in. And once again, we can right-click this guy and mate it to the origin. And now we're actually ready to start modeling Iteration 2. So I'll open that up in a new document. And we can actually go through and change this in any way that we want to. We can start with the exact design we're using and just kind of change the proportions of it. So let's change the buttons, for example, drag those down a little further so that the buttons are a little bit larger. And actually, let's say that, I don't know, we don't like this battery door cut. So I'm going to change something about that. Let's go back to that initial conic here. So let's take these 2 points and move them on back. So we go a little further back. And there we go. Now you can imagine making more radical changes than this. You could say, well, this is our envelope, but man, I'm going to change something really radical about it. I'm going to cut something out of the back of this or something. That's a viable option. In fact, let's do that in another video, so we can put these side by side and compare them.